Hey, just wanted to try this YouTube live streaming thing. Don't have the right words for it right now, but just wanted to give a quick update, a quick spoiler-free review of Justice League, which is now out in theaters. I was fortunate enough to go get an advanced screening here in Houston on this past Monday. Very fortunate to have gotten just tickets to the screening, and from there on just had to wait in line for a couple of hours. Luckily I'm off Mondays and Tuesdays, so didn't really hurt me in that sense, you know. Didn't have much to worry about in terms of scheduling for my day. But overall, you know, I think look, it was a fun movie. It's a good movie. The biggest drawbacks that I had for that film were that it felt rushed. When there's this report of Warner Brothers out there supposedly giving Snyder and company a mandate that this is supposed to be a film no more than 2 hours long, you're going to run into some issues as far as getting so much content put in under 2 hours. I think I walked away with the feeling that there was just a lot of stuff that was crammed in, sometimes to the detriment of other parts of the film. So the pace of the film was pretty quick, and I found that to be just a bit difficult to try to digest sitting there in my seat. Other than that, I felt the chemistry between the heroes in this and between some of the other members of the cast ended up not as strong at first. It took them, I think I didn't really become convinced until probably about a quarter, maybe up to halfway through the movie, where I started to see some good gelling among them with respect to how this was all written. And, you know, other than that, I think individually they all had their good, bright moments. I think they did very, very well in several different scenes. The CGI, I really didn't notice, and I've got tickets to go again, so I really didn't notice the whole controversy with the Cavill mustache, the multi-million-dollar mustache that apparently had to get this whole makeover as a result of, I think he had to keep his mustache. Henry Cavill had to keep his mustache in order to still film Mission Impossible 6, and you know, he had to go in for some reshoots with Justice League, and he just couldn't shave the mustache. Long story short, I really couldn't tell, at least initially, where that bad CGI started to come in. Steppenwolf was a bit of a hot mess. Steppenwolf, I think, he was too marauding, too brooding, too many of your Saturday morning cartoon one-liners, I think, for a villain. I think that made it difficult for me, and I think it may have made it difficult for other people there in the theater to really take it in and to understand that this was this was a pretty bad villain who's coming to, you know, wreck stuff here on Earth or whatever. Honestly, I think some of the good points of the movie I felt were the action sequences were good. It was too CGI heavy in some other parts. Other than that, I mean, a lot of people were kind of upset when it was announced that Danny Elfman was going to do the score for this film and not Hans Zimmer or Junkie XL. Really, I mean, the score, I really didn't make much of it, if only because I just couldn't really hear a whole lot of it. I think it was just so involved, I think with just the sequences that were going on, that it made it a bit more... It was just kind of in the background, really not doing anything, if that makes sense. You know, just between that and stick around for the very end. I mean, I know there are videos out there talking about the scenes at the very end of the film, after the credits roll and all that. Definitely stick around for those. The first one is pretty lighthearted, pretty good. And then the second one is just, that one blew everyone away. I'm not going to say it, obviously it's a spoiler-free review. But go out and watch it, definitely. You know, I think I don't, you know, there's really, I don't think that much to say right now. this was much better than Batman vs. Superman. This was, I think, better than Suicide Squad. Not as good as Wonder Woman. This one's more kind of on par with Man of Steel. So if you like Man of Steel, I think you're going to like this one. There are some good quips and one-liners that are thrown into this one to kind of lighten the mood. I thought there were times in the film where you could kind of tell where Zack Snyder was directing and where Joss Whedon was directing. You could kind of draw some parallels to when Joss Whedon did Avengers. And, I think some of the more learned or some of the more experienced comic book film fans and comic book fans in general are going to notice that difference. One other big takeaway that I had with this movie, though, is that this was done in order to try to satiate both the comic book film fans and the comic book fans, as well as your casual moviegoers. And that ends up happening, I think, when that is the pace that's taken, it's done so to the detriment of, at times, the quality of the film. This one kind of fell into that category. And I know there have been some negative reviews that were posted out there. Personally, I think this one earned a 7 out of 10 for me. It wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. It certainly had its good high parts, but there were some noticeable things that made me really question whether or not this was going to be as good as I thought it would be, or this was going to be as bad as I thought it would be. But yeah, 7 out of 10. I thought it was a good change of pace, good course correction. I don't know whatever adjective you want to use in order to describe it, but it makes it that much more interesting for the upcoming scheduled films on the DC slate, assuming they still go with the schedule this way. I don't know if Zack Snyder is going to return for Justice League 2, or if it's going to be Joss Whedon, or if it's going to be some other director out there. But I'm kind of curious now to see what happens. I was really looking forward to this film ever since it was announced that this would be the next film that DC and Warner Brothers were going to make. So hopefully we get something, we get better content the next time around. Let me know what you think. Yeah, just curious as to what you saw, what you thought. Appreciate you watching. Thank you.